information that we've learnt into from the laboratory into clinical trials, and also from clinical trials into what happens to our patients in the community. So a very important piece of translational research that was performed by the AGITG, and this is when I was just finishing my training, and Chris Karapetis, who led this study, his picture is there, he does a lot of work in the AGITG. He's from Adelaide also. He was the chair of the study lead for this study in Australia, and this study looked at patients with advanced bowel cancer. And these patients had had many treatments before they went on this study, and they had very few other options left to them at the point when they were considering this study. And what they found in this study is that a drug that Dave's already shown you some information about, called cetuximab, which actually targets the EGFR pathway, and one of these special signalling pathways, was found to be of modest benefit. So it did improve how long patients lived, and it did improve their quality of life in the population as a whole. So all of the patients who were on that arm of the study, so they either got the drug or they got supportive care, because there weren't the standard treatment was supportive care. There were no other options for these patients at that point in time, and they found that the patients who received cetuximab did a little bit better. However, that wasn't enough for these trialists. What they did was, when patients sign up for a clinical trial, there is the option of the trialists being able to use some of the tissue that has been archived. So when people have a biopsy, we never throw any tissue out, or if you have a tumour removed, it's always kept in case we need to use it for clinical research or new tests that are developed, new genetic tests, etc. So about 70% of patients had signed up to have their tissue collected. It didn't involve any more tests for them, but the researchers were able to gather all of those pieces of tissue and do some very fancy genetic tests on the bowel cancers. And what they found was that there was a specific group of patients with advanced bowel cancer that were much more likely to respond to the drug cetuximab. And they were the patients who didn't have a mutation in this particular gene called KRAS. So the patients who did have a mutation were unlikely to benefit, but they got the side effects. So this was a great advance. We could spare the people who are unlikely to benefit from the side effects, and we can give the patients who are more likely to benefit a drug. And we can tell them that this is the chance that you might benefit from the drug. So that test has now become standard for all patients with advanced bowel cancer. We do that on the first day we meet the patients. So a great advance that AGITG has been involved with.